Welcome to People Make Roofing, a call to action led by McCormack Partners and RoofersCoffeeShop. We're tackling the industry's biggest challenges, from outdated misconceptions to the widening skills gap. Our mission? To show the next generation the true potential of roofing, including the diverse opportunities, endless growth possibilities, and a chance to make a lasting impact. Join us as we share unfiltered stories from industry professionals across North America, inspiring and guiding the future of roofing. This is People Make Roofing.
Hello, everybody. This is People Make Roofing. I am Luke McCormack, CEO of Roofing Talent America.
And I am Heidi Ellsworth, president of RoofersCoffeeShop. And we are so excited to be here for People Makes Roofing. We have a special guest today, John Kiesel. Welcome, John.
Hello, Luke. Hello, Heidi. It's nice to join you folks on this conversation. I think it's going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to participating.
John, can you introduce yourself real quick? Just tell us a little bit about your company.
John Kiesel. I'm president of Division 7 Roofing in Columbus, Ohio, focused only on single-ply commercial and industrial roofing systems.
Well, John, thank you for joining us. I've been excited to get you on the campaign because we both joined the Roofer Alliance at the same time. I seen you coming in and, before you know it, you weren't even in the room. Then you come in the room, you won Innovator of the Year. You're expanding into new divisions. You've got a new office coming up. We've been very happy to support your expansion through recruitment. And John, when I started this campaign back in 2021, I'd come into the roofing industry, and what I seen was sort of dumbfounded me that, the type of progression that exists, the people that can literally start at the bottom and, build a multi-million pound successful business. And when I met you and seen you as someone who's done that, Heidi and I were like, we need to get John on the campaign. And for everyone listening, that is the purpose of People Make Roofing. It's to move the conversation away from these outdated stigmas that roofing is, outdated. There's no career prospects. There's no money to get made in it. There's no career path. Us on the call, we know that's the case. And the purpose of this is to shine a light on people like you, John, who started from the bottom and got to the top through the roofing industry. So we're hoping to share this with, school leavers, college leavers, university leavers, career guidelines counselors, parents, basically anyone that will influence where the younger generation will go next. But not just that, professionals from the wider construction industry or other markets that might want a change of career, and to show them that there's so much to give them in roofing. So yeah, John, so excited to get into this, and thank you for joining us. So question number one, a lot of people, they fell into it, they followed their father, but tell us your story, John. What inspired you to pursue a career in roofing?
Well, I put some thought to this, and knowing that I'm going to be a part of this conversation with you and trying to construct or reconstruct why I ended up in the roofing industry took me back to when I was a young boy, actually. And, kind of part of what you were saying, I was exposed to roofing through my father and my uncle that were doing commercial roofing in Pittsburgh, where I was, I had grown up, and, so I knew roofing existed. And like a young boy, you look up to your father and your uncle and your role models, and wow, this roofing thing's really, really kind of interesting to me. As an 8, 9, 10-year-old fellow, trying to grow into something, and it brought me to this point where, I had to realize when I was younger that people were being labeled as a natural at sports. You play sports, got involved with sports. I was never a natural at sports. The kids that were really, really great. Wow, he's a natural. Wow, he's a natural. I wasn't a natural. I was okay. And then you go to school, and then you hear things like, these kids are gifted. They're going to the gifted programs. They're going to go to the gifted. Like, I did okay in school. I was never gifted or labeled gifted. But those labels that get put on people when you're young, I think was something that I wanted to try to find something where somebody said, you're a natural at this, you're gifted at this, you have something that other children don't seem to demonstrate. And that came to me through my, I guess, my quest to build things and vision and be able to see how things can be created and built with hammers and nails and different types of tools. So my grandfather used to bring home pieces of wood and nails, and I would just sit on the back patio and I would hammer away. I get my grandfather's hammer and I'd build things. Maybe it's a plane, maybe it's a a sword or whatever I could construct easily enough by putting some pieces of wood together. So that's when I started to realize working with a hammer was my thing, and working with tools, like, it just excited me. And my uncle and father, they were at my grandparents' house building them a shed. And I remember this memory, and it really kind of impacted me because they're constructing this shed. I'm banging around with my grandfather's hammer, and I get myself involved to help hand things to these guys, and looking at their tool belts filled with these professional grade tools. Nothing like my grandfather's little wooden hammer, but like big tools and chalk lines and dust powder flying around. Like, this is super exciting. So they're to a point where they're putting this roof on this shed. They take a break. I get myself up on this roof, grab my grandfather's hammer, and I start hammering these shingles onto this shed. They come back like, John, how did you do this? You actually installed these shingles the right way, the way they're laid out, the pond lines are straight, and how'd you know how to do this? Well, I didn't have an answer. I just knew that I could see roofs, I could see the patterns in the roofs, and I just went to town doing it and completed this roof. And their response was like a teacher or a coach telling another child or another person participating, you're a natural or you're gifted. So that was really the fuel to my career right there.
And how old were you, John, when you did that?
I'm going to go back to maybe it was around 9 or 10 years old. And, today you might think like, oh my gosh, where's children's services? What were you climbing all up on a shed roof? Well, at 9 or 10 back in the 80s, like, we're scaling 40-foot trees. We're running around jumping people with our bikes. I mean, we were daredevils, so, we wouldn't want to call children's services on my parents for letting me up on a roof of 40 years later, however long it's been. But I was a young kid and just made my way up there. It was nothing to me.
Yeah, that is so cool.
That is amazing, John. And, I think that even myself as a young kid, I was always outdoors. I was interested in how things were put together. There was a show, How It's Made, and I used to always watch it and see how things were put together. And, I never really had the avenue to sort of pursue that. And, because of your mum and dad, they were able to show you that this can turn into a real career. And obviously you've built something amazing here. So hopefully, from young kids that are watching this and they think, well, I don't know anyone in roofing, that, you're a shining example that if you've got that desire and that that's the thing that you like to do, that, it doesn't need to end there. It can go a lot further.
Yeah. I'm really curious too, because that's a very young age to really, and I always love it when kids kind of go, okay, I know, and this is what I love doing. And the parents encourage that, right? Encourage what you're doing. I know I've been through that with my kids. But I would love to hear a little bit about your next steps. Like after high school, how did you continue to get into roofing, and what was really rewarding about that?
Yeah, I mean, it continues into these memories still at a kind of a young age of being at Sunday dinners at grandma's house. Every Sunday was mandatory. You had to have dinner at grandma's house. My uncle, my dad would be there. My mom, if we weren't there, we had big problems, right? Like, she made the food and you're going to eat it and you're going to be there. And we all knew we were going to be there. And Sunday dinners were always filled with roofing stories. My dad, my uncle, guys on the cruise, names like Pig and Slick. And these guys were just kind of like, superheroes to me. They were bigger than life. The stories I heard about these guys, just intrigued me to no end how crazy people can be and act, and the fun atmosphere that roofing sounded like it was to me. But going through high school and going to building trades and not pursuing a real high level academic career, it was more like, let me get into the building trades programs. Let me expand on what I think that I'm good at naturally, and not push the envelope when it comes to things I wasn't really excited about. So when I graduated high school, I had a choice of maybe the military, maybe college, or maybe I joined the roofing industry with my father and uncle, and that's what I chose. Being able to go out and buy my own professional tool belt, my own professional hammers, and show up to work that first day and thinking everybody's going to be, wow, John's here. Wow, look at all of his great tools, and he's going to help us really do some great things. To meeting the pig and the slick, these guys I heard about on Sunday dinners, to have them tell me, put your tools down, forget about those for quite some time, because first you're going to prove you're tough. You've got to do tough work, and through this tough work and proving yourself, you might get a chance to pick up a tool and actually do something, but not until you prove yourself. And I was tough, and I did put the time into doing all the manual labor stuff and kept my tool belt sitting there nice and shiny. Mostly they used my tools when I wasn't looking. That was kind of effective. Their stuff was beat up and lost, so they used my new tools. But it took a couple years to get myself actually, I guess, adopted into the crew. You have to prove yourself. So once I got that chance, it was like, okay, now I can start showing you that I'm smart too. Because until you prove yourself, they didn't care how smart you were, what you had to offer intelligence wise, until you prove. So once I started to be able to vision and see how roofing comes together and see holes where things weren't working properly, I quickly made it to a right-hand man position, right along these guys doing the build-up roofing, the tough work in Pittsburgh. So I got my roofing card. I got my roofing card, and tools were all mine. I just loved to create things and see things that they couldn't see, even though they were 40-year veterans in the industry. So that's really where it started to take off for me.
I'm really intrigued. Like, we've been showing that 9-year-old John with that desire with building swords to, getting your equipment and your tools, and then, actually proving yourself and moving up. So, like, I'm really keen to hear, how did you go from that stage to get to where you are now?
So through some different life events, moved from Pittsburgh, ended up in Columbus, Ohio. Had, maybe 8-9 years of commercial roofing experience at that point in time. I happenstance to run into a fellow that worked for Division 7 Roofing, my superintendent currently today, Craig McGinnis, and I saw some roofing plaques on his wall. We came over for lunch at a family type event. My family knew his family, and saw these roofing plaques on his wall. I said, "Hey, Craig, so you're a commercial roofer?" He's like, "Yeah." Like, I know I do roofing, man. Like, and I'm looking for an opportunity here, in Columbus, and so come on, I'll get you on at Division 7. So he got me on at Division 7 as his right hand man, doing work, and there's some bumps and turns and twists, but to keep the story kind of on track, continued to be a right hand man, got an opportunity to be a foreman, and started running projects. And I'm down in Columbus, Ohio on a small little roof. My next project was going to be this pretty simple warehouse project. And, that's where I was going to take my crew, and we were going to go do this next job. But the owner of the company of Division 7, George Reese, came out, and we're standing on this little low roof downtown Columbus. He says, "Hey, John, your next projects," and he points, "is right in front of us, this 36-story high-rise roof building. That's your next job." I'm like, okay. I mean, I've never roofed a high-rise before. And he said, "Well, we've never roofed a high-rise either, but you're the guy for the job, right? So let's do this thing. Here's the estimate. Here's the scope of work. It's yours. Figure it out. Just do whatever you need to do. We haven't figured it out, but we got the money to do the job. So do whatever you need to do." So I figured out how to facilitate this high-rise roof, tearing it off, putting it back on, night crew tear off, day crew install, using elevator systems and a bunch of elaborate processes to get this roof off and on. above the Ohio Department of Health. That was moving in October 1st. So I literally spent between the night shift and the day shift on most days during the week sleeping in the elevator control room.
Wow.
So I had to do this. I mean, it was when I had a new child that was born, working, as an hourly person, and it was go time. I saw the opportunity and seized it, and I didn't have a guarantee. Nobody said, if you do this, you're going to get promoted. I just did it. The owner of the company, George Reese, again, he came out to the roof looking down on Columbus. Now we're up high now, looking down to where I kind of was when I was looking up, back to that roofing shed experience. Like, John, I don't know how you did this. This is amazing. And we're done completely on time. We crushed it from estimate. Like, this is amazing. Just like the shed with my uncle and my father. And he says, John, I want you to teach the other foreman in the company how to roof like you. This is a salary position. I said, speak no more. Whatever it is, I'm doing that thing. To go from hourly and watching weather to guaranteed money, like, I'm going to do whatever that is. Like, let's just do that, And so then I worked with the foreman, and still the tool belt that I wore still was applicable to my position as superintendent, running around, meeting with the crews, showing them how to get it done faster. I'll get my tools, I'll show you, I'll demonstrate, we'll do these things, and start to evolve our operations into, a pretty high performing, overseen process. So again, George, seeing the success in that, he says, John, I want you to be the general manager. Administratively, I want you to oversee the service department that needed to be grown. I need you to oversee the HR department. I need to start overseeing these other entities of the process that I wasn't familiar with. But again, I'm going to figure it out. And I have the vision to see the processes of what needs to be done. And there was a point in time when I'm being promoted into these management positions on the white collar side of the business that I realized that the hammer wasn't a tool anymore. The hammer I was used to broke things, because I'm a demanding type of guy, and administrative work or HR work, it needed to meet my expectations or we were going to have a conversation, right? And I realized that I didn't necessarily have the tools for this. But what I did realize was there are people out there that have the tools to do that. And being able to see that I don't possess every component of a person to be successful in all realms of business, I found the people in HR, handle the hiring, handle the management of the people. Okay, well, we need somebody to estimate jobs. I really don't like sitting in a computer all day calculating numbers. I need to find people that had the tools in these other areas, their tool belt, different than mine. But these are the tools that I put in place to grow Division 7 to where it is today. And through those choices, I was, put in an ownership position of Division 7. So again, demonstrating, being flexible, seeing opportunities, and just thinking differently has been kind of my secret sauce.
That's amazing, John. What a story. I'm so glad that you shared that. Just on that last point, John, how important is it to put in second tier management to take your business from one level to the next? Because sadly, we see so often, my father, he had a roofing contracted business. He was putting in every nail, sending every invoice. It never really took off. You see a lot of roofing business owners where they've got a good business, but they won't relinquish control, and it never really gets to the next level. So how important is it to, put in second tier management in order for you to take the business to the next level? And, what impact did that have on you? And, what would be your message to other business owners who are trying to do it all themselves and not delegating the way that you did?
So for George, that gave me the opportunity that relinquished that power was, kind of that type of person you're talking about, that he realized that in order to grow, he didn't want to control every single component of the business. He was willing to allow control to be handled by somebody else and step back and realize life can be enjoyed while somebody's taking on the business. And he found value in being able to enjoy himself and didn't have his identity in roofing. And I think that's a big component is, well, where do they find their identity? They find their identity in being the all-encompassing person for their business, and the fear of losing that by giving part of their identity away for other people to manage. I think it's something you have to really dive deep into your own mental perspective of. Your identity isn't your roofing business. Your identity is more than your roofing business. So that's step one to me, is really understanding why and how you're limiting your company. So